Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Africa, tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. America, tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze.
You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javanokelo, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.
Thank you so much, Ahadi. Nice to see you. I hope you're doing well. I hope you had a nice weekend as well. I am just waking up here in Seattle, and I am excited to be here, to share another African proverb and, to continue building this space, one proverb at a time. And welcome, Karen. Today we have a proverb from Malawi. Malawi is a country in Southern Africa, and we are going to dissect this proverb and learn what it is that, this proverb is trying to tell us. It says, "He who thinks he is leading and has no one following him is only taking a walk." He who thinks he is leading and has no one following him is only taking a walk. I love this proverb. This is a proverb that teaches us about leadership, and it teaches us that as leaders, we always have to look back and understand the team that we are working with. And amongst the people we are working with, how are we doing with them? How are we doing beyond just work? What depth of relationships do we have? And if push came to shove, who would stand with you? Who would go through the most challenging times with you amongst your team members, or even amongst your siblings, or amongst your friends, So I feel that this proverb is a reminder that as leaders, as parents, as entrepreneurs, we always have to evaluate amongst our peers and people that we involve in doing our work. How are we doing with them? And I want to stop there for a moment and just welcome you all to the Daily African Proverbs. This is a special room for me and my community members that you all form a part of. And I'm so happy to see you, Ahadi. I want to hear your voice in a moment. I also want to welcome you, Karen and Alexis and Dana and Hilaya and Wanda here on Clubhouse. And on YouTube, we have also been joined by a few people, and I want to thank you so much for being on YouTube with us. So please leave your comment if you're on YouTube and let us know what this proverb means to you. Ahadi, how are you, and what does this proverb mean to you? Thank you so much.
Hey, Simon. Hey, everyone. Good morning. I hope you can hear me well.
I hear you so well.
Great. It's beautiful to be here, and I think this proverb speaks to the core of this room. And what would daily African proverbs be without us coming back here to be together as a community to empower each other and to share in the wisdom that our ancestors have shared with us for decades in many shapes and forms. And so, Simon, if you had not taken that first step to start the room, and many of us who've been consistent in coming back to support and to spread the word, what would daily African proverb be? And I think that's when you had started to share about the proverb, that's something that really resonated with me, especially because I really love this space.
Man, thank you. I'm so grateful that you said that, and I love this space too, and I truly appreciate you for being one of the most consistent supporters of the Daily African Proverbs. I'm grateful, and there's nothing else I can say beyond that. I want to welcome Alexis as well. It's been a few weeks. I haven't seen you, and I'm always excited to hear your voice. I'm just grateful that you're here. Share with us what today's proverb means to you. The proverb says, "He who thinks he is a leader, he who thinks he is leading and has no one following him, is only taking a walk." Thank you.
Hello, Simon. Hello, everyone. And yes, I've missed y'all so much. So I'm glad to be here this morning. Thanks for always bringing me up. What I would say about the proverb today is the person who leads without followers is someone who doesn't have the ability to listen, to be empathetic, to look within oneself and see the things that may be needed by someone else. They are blind to what their followers even would need if they had them, you know. So sometimes people just aren't able to have the ability to know what's needed. They're very egotistical or have a nasty way of thinking that, leads them to not have any, um, any followers. And on a positive perspective, sometimes people just aren't ready to be followed and they just need to remain a follower until they're ready to lead. That's what I have to say today. Thanks always, Simon. Missed you guys. Have a wonderful day on purpose, everyone. I'm Lexi and I'm out.
Wow. Thank you, Lexi. Sometime you're not just ready to be followed, and in those times, it's okay to have no follower, but just having the wisdom, the awareness that it's not time yet is very, very important. Thank you for your words of wisdom, Dr. M.D. Williams. What are your thoughts about today's proverb? I pinned it at the top of the room, so if you'd like to join me on YouTube, I'm live streaming this conversation as well, and I would also love for you to subscribe to my YouTube channel and leave your comment on this video, especially in relation to this proverb. And also, if you're not following the African Father in America Club, I would urge you to do that. Thank you so much for joining us. And join us on stage. Share with us what this proverb means to you. Thank you so much, Dr. M.D. Williams.
Well, thanks, Simon. I appreciate, like I say, I always get to see the come up on your platform and speak. This proverb is very profound. It is a profound proverb about leadership and about how leadership is supposed to go. I talk about this all the time when I'm doing seminars and workshops about leaders and what is a true leader and what is a positional leader. And because I was always taught in leadership, true leader, no one has to follow a true leader. They choose to follow a true leader. So if you are a true leader and you have followers, well, if you are a leader and you have followers and they're choosing to follow you, then you have true leadership. But if you're just, I'm not saying anything bad about these positions, anything like that, but if you're in a leadership position within an organization, then 9 times out of 10, they have to listen to you. They have to do what you say because you're the boss. You're not their leader, you're the boss, or you're the manager. So understand there's a difference between leadership, management, and understand what a true leader is. And this Proverbs is absolutely right. If you think you're a leader but no one's following you, right? By free will and choice, then all you're doing is just taking a walk somewhere. So that's what this proverb means to me, and I appreciate the time. I yield my mic.
Thank you so much. I agree with what you're saying. I agree. It's quite similar to what Alexi was sharing with us a moment ago. So, leadership is rough. Leadership is, especially leadership that is not handed to you, surrounded with a lot of privileges and resources. It's the hardest form of leadership because you have to take so many risks. You have to you have to learn as you go, and in the process, you actually also build enemies. So in the process, you also need to understand how to work with your enemies so that they become your friends, your allies, and your followers. And also you have to learn how to be a follower in the process. It's just complicated. At least in my case, it has been very complicated, but I still love it, because the most important thing for me is the idea of continuing no matter what, continuing to learn and make an impact as a leader. Sometimes there are days when your impact is very minimal. It's only felt in your heart. Sometimes it's big enough that it's felt in your household. Sometimes it's felt throughout the world. But, that only comes with consistency and putting in the work on a day-to-day basis. And, one day you'll accomplish whatever dream that you have. So I love all the thoughts that, we've been hearing as a result of today's proverb. He who thinks he is leading and has no one following him is only taking a walk. We've heard from Ahadi, we've heard from Alexis, and we've heard from Dr. M.D. Williams. I see that Happily is in the room. Happily has been one of the people that helped originally create this space and supported me for so many months. If you can join us on stage, I would love to hear your voice, Happily. And Stephen is my brother, who is also with us in the room. We are from the same mother. So Steve, if you can join us on stage, we would really appreciate. We want to hear your perspectives on this. And Roger, join us on stage as well. I'm just going to ping you all on stage so that we can hear your voices. But if you are just joining us, we are live streaming this conversation on YouTube. My YouTube channel is pinned at the top of the room. You can use that to join me over there. And also, I would love for you to share with me in the YouTube channel, what your thoughts are about this proverb. I want to learn from you. I was just about to get a phone call from Sambaza. That's Stephen Barty. He was supposed to be our guest today, but maybe we'll have him on another day. I just want to, let you all know that this is an important space for me. I've been creating this space since January, and I've been, I've teamed up with so many people to make this possible. So, yesterday I had a meeting with NCAM, NCAM and Steve. Before this room, I didn't know that I would ever even connect someone to my team in Kenya. So we meet every Sunday, and I was just reflecting on, since January, the number of people I've connected with and the number of things we've done off of Clubhouse is what I feel that this room has made possible. Just the ability to collaborate with people that I could never have met before. So if you're in the room, make sure you're following somebody who is in the room as well here on Clubhouse. And, if you're with us on YouTube, thank you so much. We are dissecting this proverb from Malawi. He who thinks he is leading and has no one following him is only taking a walk. And we've heard from everyone on stage. I would love to hear your voices for those who are not on stage. And I was sharing earlier, what my thoughts were in regards to this proverb. And, based on everything I've heard, in general, leadership is not for everyone. And, unless you're already prepared and unless you've been tested, you might just be taking a walk like this proverb says. You might just be taking a walk like this proverb says. But, there are also a number of leaders that I have so much love and respect for. In this room, I would probably say that, I've witnessed so many times my brother Steve as a leader. So I'm very appreciative of, what you've done, in terms of your career as well as your family. I've worked closely with someone like Happily and Johnny, and I've witnessed how as human beings they are also leaders in their different in their different lives and the things that you all do. But really, for me, I have to recognize that it's not an easy job, and it's a work that requires a lot of endurance. And to just speak more to this proverb, sometimes as a leader it's okay to have no one following you, because that's when you can also breathe. That's when you can also build a little more muscle in order for you to continue doing your work as a leader. So I just want to hear a few reflections from Mahadi and Alexis and Dr. M.D. Williams while I figure out how to bring Sambaza onto this conversation. He's Stephen Barty, who was supposed to be our guest today. So just bear with me for a moment. Ahadi, did you have any thoughts in regards to everything I just shared?
I don't have any thoughts, but I did have a question, and maybe I would like to get the perspective of everyone else. So, does this mean that the measurement of a true leader is the amount of following that the leader has? I don't know what you guys think about that.
No, this is Simon speaking. I personally think that, and this is related to what I just said last, I think the quality of a leader can sometimes mean that the leader is alone. Because a leader cannot be constant, a leader cannot be constant. Many leaders, for example, if we are looking at it from an African perspective, one of the leaders that many African people agree that was a remarkable leader was someone like Thomas Sankara. And, in just reading and watching documentaries about him, I'm learning that he was not very popular because of his stand and his conviction, So this proverb fits someone like Sankara, So that's my response. A leader's capability is not determined by the people that are following that leader.
Simon, you're absolutely right. To answer your question, no, it doesn't depend on the amount of followers that you have. I agree with that. It does depend on your ability to lead other people when the time comes. There is a time, like Simon says, to where leaders are not going to have anybody following them, and that's the time for them to actually self-develop, grow, and build on their self-leadership. And if I have some background noise, I apologize. I'm outside at a client work site, so I apologize. But because at one point in my career, I learned leadership. I think I was a self-leader. I've been a self-leader since I was born. Because I led myself out of bad situations. But I learned leadership in the military, of course. And what was amazing, and actually question on that is, I've been in combat. Unfortunately and unfortunately, I've been in combat. And yeah, in combat, soldiers are required to listen to you if you're leading soldiers. They are required. But the thing I always let people know, when you're in combat, that's a whole different situation, because that's a lot of life and death. And, people, you might outrank them and they have to follow your orders. But when you're in a situation that is so extreme like that, people will follow you. I have leaders that, if they were to call me today, that I had great leaders when I was in the military. If they were to call me today and ask me to go to combat with them, I will go by choice because of their leadership. And it's not because they outrank me or it's because of anything like that. It's because of the respect I have for them and them being a leader. And the same happened to me. When I was getting deployed for combat, I had soldiers come up to me and volunteer to go with me because and I would always ask them. I said, well, why would you want to come to combat with me? They're like, because of who you are, and I know that you'll take care of me, and things of that nature. So And same thing happened to me when I was in business. I began in business. I used to build marketing teams, and I built marketing teams across the nation. And the great thing about that was people did not have to follow you. They didn't have to listen to you. But because of what I built myself as a leader and what I understand when it comes to leadership, I had people follow me. I started at the bottom, and I built my marketing team one person at a time. Recruiting them on board, training them, getting them to be successful in business. So in doing all that, I had over 1,000 people across the nation following me because of the fact that I was helping them, achieve what they want. And one of my tenets of leadership is when you help enough people get what they want, then you get what you want. And people will look at you as a leader, of whatever the cause might be, whatever the mission might be. But people will look at you as a leader. But no, you do not have to have people following you, directly, or the amount of people following you does not determine whether or not you're a good leader, because there are seasons, there are different seasons for a leader. So I yield my mic.
Thank you so much, Dr. M.D. Williams. I'm grateful for your words of wisdom, and I just want to welcome Stephen Barty, who is going to be our guest today. Stephen is now with me on YouTube. Stephen is the host of the Sambaza podcast, and he's an amazing leader. He's an amazing brother from Kenya. He comes from the coastal region of Kenya, and is living here in, is it in Dallas, Texas, Brother Stephen? Okay. Your audio is off. I can't hear you at the moment. Okay. Well, so Stephen is going to join us here in just a moment. He's just adjusting his audio. I love hosting guests, especially here in the Daily African Proverbs, because wisdom is like fire. People take it from each other, I might have an interpretation of this proverb, but if I bring somebody else that took a little more time to think about it, we have even a much more tastier conversation. So Alexis has been my guest. I know that everybody on stage is going to be my guest at some point. I want to host you all as my guest whenever you're ready. So just DM me if you want to join me on YouTube for this live stream of the Daily African Proverbs. I want to check again if Stephen Barty is ready.
Simon, do you mind if I comment on what Ahadi said?
Oh, yes, please.
And Dr. No Days Off, which I love your name. That's so I need to have that about that myself. But what you guys both said was paramount, because in order to be a leader, or if like she was saying, you determine what type of leader a person is, or if they're a good leader, so to speak, based on their following. I actually feel that you can. I think that it's a good thing to look at people's followers when you have a leader, because people sometimes think that leadership is only in a positive spectrum. Hitler was a leader. Okay. So when you look at Hitler's following, you know how many people hate you. So that's what I like to look at in leadership, is how many people are following is always important to me, because I want to see how many people think like that. You know what I'm saying? Based on what the leader's virtues are. Of course, the person is not going to agree with every virtue or every whim that the leader is saying, but that main virtue, that main concept, those followers are following them because of that. So with me, I think that the following and the amount of people that are following is an extremely important thing to pay attention to in leadership. That's all I wanted to add. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Alexis. I wanted to say that, yes, that's true. But in the case of a guerrilla army, for example, the guerrilla army that was able to get Rwanda out of the genocide that happened in 1994, nobody knew their number, but there were many, and they were able to, run the government out of town. The Mau Mau freedom fighters in Kenya. Nobody knew how many they were. They were, in fact, so dreaded. So I think understanding what it is that you're leading, like what the cause is probably, well, I'm not trying to argue against what you said. I think the numbers are so important, and in fact, a lot of the time, what you see is what exists. Perception is the only reality. But I'm also saying that the other side of it is that what you're only seeing like a glimpse of is it called the iceberg? When you see an iceberg in the ocean.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
I agree with you, Simon. You know I agree with you. There's always two sides to a coin. So just like you said, like there are some leaders that you don't know who their followers were. And I was surprised that you didn't say the Ku Klux Klan, because a lot of times the Klan members, they're the police officers that are on the force. There are doctors, our dentists. We have no idea that they're Klansmen. So, that is very important what you just said, because it is very true. Some leaders, we have no idea the gravity of their following. So that is very true. I agree with you, because that way, those type of leaders are very smart and strategic, in my opinion, because you don't know which way they're going to come from. And I like that. That's the type of leader I'm trying to be. Thank you.
Oh, wow. I like it.
Hadi. Let's test Stephen Barty's mic here quickly, and then continue the conversation. Stephen, how are you doing, my brother? Even if you speak, I can't hear your voice still. Yeah, I'm not sure why you can't hear me. Yeah, I can't hear him completely. Okay. So I think what you need to do is to leave the live stream and come back. Yeah, let's try that. Anyhow, Ahadi, thank you for that thought-provoking question that, has kept us, scratching our heads. That's why we show up here in the Daily African Proverbs. I do want to, welcome Jay Ware, who has been an amazing contributor to the Daily African Proverbs, and also is in Seattle like myself. I want to welcome you to join us on stage, Jay and Bibi, and anyone else who wants to join us on stage in this moment. At exactly 6:30, I will be turning off hand raising. So this is a good time for you to join us, so that we can share, we can have this morning staple where we share African proverbs with the hope of learning and gaining some African wisdom. I have a guest here with me. His name is Stephen Barty, and we are going to hear a little bit about his story. We are going to hear a little bit about his interpretation of this proverb, and we are also going to hear a little bit about why he continues podcasting with Sambaza Podcast. And finally, we will learn how you can all stay connected with him. So at the moment, I do want to hear from Jay and Dr. Wanda. Just your thoughts about this proverb, Jay, briefly, while I make sure that Stephen's audio is working. Stephen, could you say something real quick?
Okay, now can you hear me?
Oh, it's wonderful. So just stay where you are.
Okay. Something was wrong with the. Sorry, I was in a meeting. It's been a tough week for me, so that's why.
No problem. Let's see a brief comments from Jay and Dr. Wanda and Bibi, and then we'll bring it to you for about 20 to 25 minutes before we wrap up our conversation. But it's a pleasure that you're here.
Oh, my pleasure.
Thank you, dear brother Simon, and I will make it very, very brief. Yes, so a man thinketh in his heart, so he is, and certainly there's nothing wrong with just taking a stroll, taking a walk through life in terms of what you choose to do, how you choose to show up. But if you're showing up thinking that you're a leader, that your intent is to make a difference and to make an impact and to influence people and to make changes, whether it has to do with changes in an organization or changes in policy or changes in society, you have to have a following. You have to have someone who agrees with you, who supports you, who backs you up, um, and who is going to be there to help you make those what you believe are necessary, needed, and critical and important changes. But if you don't have someone who adopts your same mindset, same belief, who agrees with you, who is willing to um, stand in the gap with you, then you're really just taking a walk. You're not really, you don't have a following to make a huge impact and a huge difference. Uh, but again, there's nothing wrong with just taking a walk. You just won't be able to make you won't have a major impact to be able to make the major changes that as you think that you can do without the help and the backing of the support of people who also agree with your mindset and your purpose and your decisions. This is Jay, and I'm done speaking on this proverb. Thank you so much, dear brother Simon.
Thank you so much, Jay. I'm grateful that you're here. Hey, Dr. Wanda, share with us your thoughts on this proverb. Thank you for being here.
Oh, good morning. Yeah, this proverb is actually really right on time. I was just talking with someone who has been training a person at a task, and they were kind of upset about how fast the person was learning the task, this and that. And I was trying to explain to them, I said, as a leader, when you're training someone, it's your responsibility to present the information in a way that they can understand and absorb it and run with it. These are the people that we have to work with. You can't just say, oh, I'm going to get some better people. You have to figure out as a leader, how are you going to make these people better? And that it just ties with this proverb. He who thinks he is leading and has no one following him is only taking a walk. Because when you're training people, you got to give them time to catch on to what you're training them, and people they have different ways of learning and different learning speeds. And if you just got rid of everyone who is not going as you expect them to go and as quickly, you'll soon have no one, and it will be just as this proverb. And I'm complete.
I agree. I agree completely. Leadership requires so much patience, and you know, I'm just I'm just amazed by how much parenting is also leadership. That's all I want to add there. Bibi, thank you for being here. Share with us what your thoughts are in regards to today's proverb. The proverb, for those who are just joining us, is he who thinks he is leading and has no one following him is only taking a walk. And today we have a special guest. Is Stephen Barty, the host of Sambaza podcast. You're going to be hearing, a lot about him in just a moment. But now I want you to join us on YouTube. The link at the top of the Clubhouse room is how you can catch the YouTube live stream. And you will be able to see my brother Stephen, Bhatti, and myself having the conversation for the last half an hour of this session. Bibi, share with us your thoughts on this proverb and how you're doing today.
Thank you so much, Simon, for inviting me and having this room constantly. I truly appreciate it. Hi, Jay. Hi, Dr. Wanda. Hi, Alexis. I haven't seen you in a minute. So it's kind of like a reunion or just having a gathering with your family. So it's amazing. But as far as today's proverb, there are some leaders that lead from behind the scene. That means they're natural born leaders, but they don't want to be in the spotlight, so they lead from the back. And those ones, they're the ones who are really uh, handling everything because all everyone that works, let me just say work wise, because everyone that works there, sometimes they're there because of that person, and sometimes the ones that are up front, you don't know how they got there, but a true leader is one that can lead and actually guide at the same time. There are some people that they take their role just based off of the title and not the actual work. So those are the kinds of people that you want to look out for, and those are the kind of people you don't want to be as well, because in order to truly lead, you have to see your people's best interest as well, and guide them in the way that you want to be guided. So um I don't think I really have much to say on that, except that not everyone that leads are truly leaders. They're not there really to lead, but just be there for the title. So that's just my take. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, BB. Kay, briefly share with us your thoughts on this proverb, then we will move to our special guest who is on YouTube with me. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good morning. Hello, everyone. Um, I I I don't have the thing when I saw this made me think of the I follow
Simon.
some people, however, I don't know, you want to um, decide somebody's following the combat thing is way over my head. I just don't even know what to say about that. But one of the things that I do is I follow some people. I listen to them. They might have a platform or a radio or blog or whatever to listen to them, not because I follow them, but I want to be in line with the people who follow them because, and I feel like I need to know more about them and what is being said to them because a lot of the things that are going on in their lives are not my experience. I just want them to do well and prosper, but I feel like I don't quite understand their perspective. So when I connect with their people who they follow, it helps me to understand their perspective a little better. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I love that. I love that. I hope you've all been taking notes. Every day when I come here in the Daily African Proverbs, I learn so much. Hopefully one day I'll write a book based on everything I've been learning in this room since January. I am grateful, and now we want to hear from my special guest, Stephen Barty. Stephen, I know that you've had quite a few of our friends and our community members speak about this proverb, and I want you to share with us your thoughts on this proverb, and also share with us, just your comments after you heard everybody share their remarks.
Okay, thank you, Simon. First of all, I'm not Stephen Bhatti. I'm Sambaza, host of the Sambaza podcast. Stephen Bhatti is an alter ego. That's somebody else. People don't know me as that. So um, I have listened to it, the proverbs that you have today, and a lot of people have made it interesting. In the beginning, when I looked at the proverb, I was looking at it in one way. I noticed somebody said that some leaders are good at listening from the back, which actually brings a different perspective. For my thoughts were that, for being a leader, you have to be up on the front. So if you are walking and you look behind and there's no one, then it means that you're not doing a good job as being a leader. But who's to tell that maybe it was in the beginning of the journey as you're being a leader, to you're trying to start to move in the process rather than you are at the end of the process. So we don't know which part of the journey the person that we're talking about is. Definitely leadership at some point is defined by how many people are behind you. However, in other perspectives, you may find that leadership does not need to have a following. All what you need to do is be straight in your conviction, and whatever you have in your conviction, people will come and listen to you later on, maybe realize that, hey, this is somebody who had some interesting or something that made sense that could be used in our probably maybe your day-to-day life, or maybe used in some type of subject matter as being the norm. So I think it begs the question, at what point of this proverb this person is talking about. So that's kind of where I have gotten to just by sitting down and listening to everyone else who was talking on your daily proverbs. So,
Thank you so much, Sambaza. I'm grateful, for your presence and for your perspective on this proverb. I want you to take us back. One of the things I recently learned about you is that we are probably going through the same challenge, and I think this is a challenge that many African people go through. My mom passed away last year, October, and now I'm responsible for all the family related lands and all of those things. My father is 83, and he was a polygamist. So my role as the eldest son, I lost my two older brothers. So my brother, who is right after me, is actually in the room. so so together we are responsible for all of these resources, but there are a lot of, it's like you're walking in a landmine, because you're it's danger zone.
yes.
And I saw you post about it, and it just reminded me. I saw you post about the challenge you're facing with dealing with your relatives and managing the land resources that you're now responsible for, especially after your parents passed on. So I don't want you to speak about that, but I want you to know that I stand with you, and I know what a complicated situation you're in. But take us back to some time when everything was fine, and you are a little boy, and you are envisioning the person that you are today, and you realize that dream. You're now this amazing leader, amazing dad, amazing podcaster. Share with us a story from your childhood that inspires you today.
Oh, I don't know if with inspiration, the first of all, thank you, Simon, for understanding and having this conversation with me. I know it's a tough conversation about, as Africans, being a part of this universe of ours, whereby you have to navigate being from being a child to an adult, and most of these things become brought to us without our knowledge, and we just suddenly grow up to become men in one day, and then you have to learn about so many things that you do not know. So what I can say is, right now, whatever it is, the challenge that was there is going to be resolved. It looks good, and still it leaves me to be a leader of my family, whether good or not. I still have to make some decisions for them. But it's tough. It's tough. So back to what we're talking about. When I was young, when I grew up in Mombasa, things were nice, interesting, lots of stories.
Hold on, hold on,
Um,
hold on for a moment. There's someone from the coastal region that is watching this. She's part of this every single day. She's just saying she's excited that you're here, and now you're describing something that is going to get her too excited too, because she's here in the US as well. A hearty shout out to you.
okay, thank you. I really appreciate it. So yeah, growing up, there were so many stories. I mean, I lived amongst people who had so many stories. I read about so many stories. Um, Folklore was there. We live among stories. Simon, being in Kenya, uh, we have so many stories that we have to tell. I am going to go on a limb here and say one of the most interesting story is Luanda Magere. And if you know about Luanda Magere, it's more like Samson in the Bible, except that instead of it being his hair, Luanda Magere was his shadow. So just to give us a short story about this, I'm going to try to put it in a minute. Luanda Magere was this famous fighter. He was a Luo fighter, and he used to fight people, and people could not kill him. Each time they fought him, for some reason, he was so powerful. So they tried to figure out how to get to him as they were fighting, but they couldn't figure it out. So what they did was they offered him a bride, and so that it would pacify them, the people wanted to pacify the tribe, the Lu tribe, and gave him a bride so that they can kind of soften the war, just to make sure everything is okay. However, she was a spy. She went and figured out that Luanda Magere had a fault. One fault of his was his shadow. So if you wanted to kill him, you had to throw a spear on his shadow. So guess what? The woman left and ran back to her people. And the next time they went into a fight, the fighters pretended that they were fighting and then just threw the spears onto his shadow, and he died. So it kind of was really, really exciting. I remember having to buy this book. There were small books that we purchased, and it was one of my best actually in those collection of books.
Man, yeah, you just made me nostalgic, about those days too. Luanda, we used to even play out Luanda Magere as kids. We would make, spears, and we would make, shields, and we would pretend that we are in a real war. And a lot of the time, everybody wanted to be Luanda Magere because Luanda Magere eventually turned into a rock, people still go where his home was, and people still, it's like a shrine where people go and people get inspired. So that's amazing. Now, another thing that I really want you to talk to us about today, my brother Sambaza, is your podcast. Podcasting is hard. I started podcasting in February of last year is when I said I'm going to give it a shot. And it was a motivation coming from a loss of a friend, a Kenyan friend passed on in Vancouver. And the circumstances under which that had happened was very disturbing. So after that, I was like, I'm just going to start talking about my story and recording it and sharing it with the world. And now the Daily African Proverbs is actually the way I'm producing my podcast every day. So I'm bringing in guests and putting together the African Proverbs into the original podcast, the African Father in America podcast. And it's been hard work, but I've also seen you do the same and also engage with global events about podcasting, and you've been very steadfast and you inspire me in that regard. I want you to talk to us about your favorite episode of all the podcasts that you've recorded. Talk to us about your favorite episode and why that one is the one that you want to share with us. Why does it motivate you to continue podcasting?
Oh, okay. Well, Simon, podcasting and podcast shows are like children. It's like when you ask me which one of your child is the best, I will say all of them are good. But in today's purpose, and I will just highlight on one of the many things that one of the things that I podcast is, most of our podcasts usually go in series. So as you well know, there'll probably be a 3-4 series part of what I'm discussing. Interracial relationships. That was one of the most powerful, I must say, one of the very powerful podcasting series that I had. The reason being is that we live in a situation where now we have to blend as people. We come from different places, different ideas, different ways of life, and everything. I did have people come on the show and discuss their lives, and it went so deep to an extent I didn't realize what I was getting into. And one thing you have to realize as a podcaster, whenever you start doing podcasting, you have to be ready for things to learn. You are also learning yourself as a podcaster as much as you're sending out the information. So as much as you might see podcasting as a means and ways of talking to people, please do understand that you are also a vessel of projecting what people are having in in the society. So when I look back, that was one of the most rating series that I've had, including others, of course. So that's what I can say for you, Simon. Yeah, interrelationship, where we just talked about how people meet up and live, especially if you're a white person and a black person or Asian or whatever, they share the same problems. It doesn't matter. You still have the same problems in your lives. Now it's how you tackle those problems and how you're going to face the public and how you live your life is going to determine how you're going to go forward. So in my perspective, even though all my podcasts have story to tell, I think the interrelationships did open up my eyes to something that I had no clue of what was happening.
Wow, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm grateful that you shared that with us. And I want to, welcome everybody who just joined us to the Daily African Proverbs on Clubhouse. And also thank you to everyone who is with us on YouTube. We do this every single day, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I want to encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is pinned at the top of the room on Clubhouse. We are live streaming at the same time when we have this room on Clubhouse every single day. Our goal here is to share African proverbs with the hopes of learning African wisdom by the end of our conversation. But we also invite special guests. And today I am privileged to have Sambaza as our guest, and he has shared with us his thoughts on this proverb. He has also shared with us a story from his childhood that inspires who he is today. And he shared with us what motivates him to continue podcasting. Sambaza, I want you to think about sharing with us two last things. One is, your favorite food when you're in Mombasa, in your hometown, and also how you prepare. Take Tutaleni is the next person who is going to speak. So take him for a walk. Paint for us the colors of your community, the smell of the food, and then share with us how people can stay connected with you. So that's what you're going to share with us in a moment. But my brother Tutaleni, I want you to share with us, just your thoughts about the conversation I have been having with Sambaza, and also your remarks on this proverb. And after that, we are going to hear from Sambaza, and then we are going to end our conversation today shortly after that. I really, really want to thank you all for taking your time to join me for today's Daily African Proverb session. It means a lot. I want to encourage you to follow the African Father in America Club. And please come with somebody tomorrow. Imagine if each one of you brought one more person tomorrow. How would it look like? How would it feel like? Think about that and commit to doing that to support this, this work that we're doing on a day-to-day basis. Another way you can support is to check out my website. I recently started a new Instagram page. My original Instagram page was hacked on October 12th. So I started one for the African Father in America podcast. You can follow it. That's another way that you can support. It's connected to my Clubhouse account. Now, Brother Tutaleni, I want to pass you the microphone. And really, for those who are meeting Tutaleni for the first time, he's an amazing leader. He's the founder of the Namibia Club. He's the founder of the Namibia Club here on Clubhouse. But he's also a professor and someone who I have so much love and respect for. Tutaleni, the microphone is yours.
Brother Simon, thank you as always for being consistent and for continuing to bring us together in this space. This has been a great conversation today. And Zabaza, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. When I keep hearing both of you speak, the one thing that kept coming into my mind is the importance of family. And I know that the proverb says that he who thinks he is leading has no one following him is only taking a walk. But I wonder if we flip it around. He who has people following him is a leader. And in a lot of our circles, we don't choose to be leaders. And I think, especially in our families, that's when that happens the most. If you are the firstborn and you have five that come before you, I mean, behind you, whether you like it or not, you are a leader. There's a lot of spaces where we are leaders without us giving permission, and we have people walking behind us, and we have to take responsibility of that. So that was one of the things that that when I heard, even especially Simon, when we were talking about the passing of your mom and how that changed your position in the family structure and the responsibility that you have. So often we have to be leaders even if we don't want to, and the responsibility is still the same. We have to take responsibility for those who are behind us. So I've really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you always for creating this space for us, Simon. I'm Tudalani and I'm complete.
Oh, you're most welcome to Taleni. I'm grateful for you as well, and I appreciate you sharing your perspectives with us today. My brother Sambaza, I want to pass you the microphone and really, really thank you for doing this with me on a Monday. To everyone else in the room, I want to let you know that I'm always looking for guests because my goal is to have a guest here every single day. Currently on Wednesday, I have a guest who has committed to doing this show with me every Wednesday. Her name is Gogo Mpateleni. She's in South Africa. She's a spiritual leader from the Venda tribe. And on Thursdays, I also have a committed, guest. So every Thursday we'll have Gogo Rutendo Ngara. She's also a spiritual leader, originally from Zimbabwe, but she lives in South Africa. And my goal is to have every day, either with guests that have committed to multiple weeks, then we explore a similar topic, or to just have you as a special guest like we're having my brother Sambaza today. So Sambaza, share with us, as I was saying earlier, one, take Tutaleni for a meal, and then share with us how we can connect with you, how we can stay connected with you. And really thank you again for making the time, especially on a Monday. The mic is yours, bro.
No, it's okay. Monday is a good day, start of the week, and I'm happy to be here. It's a pleasure to be around this group of people that you have, and I'm really appreciative that you did consider me to come onto the show. Now, Tutaleni, I don't know what to say about my people. It is. I know Simon knows the food is just the best. You can't just pick on. I'll pick on one. Okay, so let me tell you this. This is pilau, and we could have a fight like jollof rice and what have you. But this is, in my perspective, it's better than jollof rice. Okay, but it is a mixture of rice where you have all the spices, you blend them together, and then you choose your meats, and then you have the rice. You cook the rice, and then you get the meat in there with the spices, and then once you get everything in, um, it has a nice smell that comes out. Especially when my mom used to cook it, and you would be outside the kitchen, you'd really want to eat what she's cooking at that time because it would taste so good. Then you added there's something called kachumbari, which was you kind of had to have on the side an extra. So kachumbari is basically, I think we call it, it's like salsa over here, but you have onions, tomatoes, uh, onions, tomatoes. You cut them out, and then we have cilantro. We call it dania. You cut it, and then you kind of create a nice. You add some salt and create a nice paste. So that's like a side dish, and then you mix that and you eat it together with your dish. So the main dish is going to be the rice, the pilau, which has the meat in it. One thing, if you want to enjoy pilau, you have to eat it with your hands. You cannot use a spoon. It doesn't fit well. So you got to use your hands, and there's a style in which you can eat. I'm sure YouTube has that information as to how you can eat, and shows you how you can eat. Maybe I'll do a TikTok video on that someday. But yeah, so if you come to my town in the coast in Mombasa, just ask for pilau and you will definitely enjoy it. It's one of the best. I could add chapati in there, but we'll go with pilau. And Lee, no, we don't need bananas. Bananas is a new thing. I guess maybe going into the future, people now start adding bananas to it to kind of sweeten it. But when I was growing up, no bananas. It was just straight up as it is. And the difference between jollof rice and pilau, I guess it's the spices that come with it. And I'm pretty sure jollof rice has its spices. I haven't had jollof rice. I may have, let me say, I may have had it, but I'll go out on a limb and say I may not have had it.
I think that's the
But
difference, though. Exactly what you said. I think jollof rice is, it has no taste. The way pilau tastes, the spices hit your taste buds, and it's because of the proximity to Zanzibar, to the source of spices. East Africa is like one of the world's biggest spice producers. And West Africa, even tomato is a problem. In Nigeria, there's a tomato crisis. But carry on.
Simon, look, I'm trying to. The reason why I said I haven't tasted jollof rice, I'm trying to get somebody else to kind of tell me which is a good restaurant I can have jollof rice here in Dallas, Texas. So, yes, it is different taste. You cannot say that jollof rice doesn't have a taste. You're gonna get into trouble because taste is relative. You know, remember we have ugali. You might say ugali is nice when you eat it, but somebody says that thing ugali has no taste. So, yeah, it's all about it's all about the culture and what you're used to, right? Um, so yeah, you wanna have pilau. It's one of the best meals I can eat that um, every day if I could, but everything in moderation. That's what I say. Now, as Sambaza podcast, I hope I answered the question.
You did.
Did I?
You answered the question very well. I should have not jumped in there, because when it comes to food, this is why I love talking about food at the last portion of my conversation with my guests, because food gets people excited. So
That is true.
yeah, share with us
That is,
how everyone can stay connected with you. Thank you again so much.
okay. Actually, when you talk about food being the main source of having to connect people together, we were talking about changing. This is just a small thing. I'm just going to throw in. We had a black audio audio festival over the weekend. They had a conference, and we were sitting there talking about how we connect as African podcasters in the diaspora and podcasters from Africa itself. And we said, we're talking about the changing perceptions as to how we African podcasters can kind of come together with the podcasters here in America and share our stories and kind of interact together. Well, Dubai Dennis, one of the podcasters for the Africa Elist podcast. I hope I'm getting this right. I don't butcher it.
Excelist.
Excellist, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So he said that food is one of the best things to connect together. You can have a plate of food, and like you said, in the African setting, once food is placed on the table and you start having a conversation over food, it can bring a whole myriad of things and starts off different conversations from there. So back to Sambaza podcast. Sambaza podcast is available on iPhone, on iTunes, not iPhone, iTunes and Google Podcast, and we also are on anywhere you are able to watch not watch but listen to podcasts. And one thing I say is you can support the podcast. I have t-shirts here. If you go, we go buy t-shirts, or you can buy me a coffee. That's how we kind of support ourselves. But to me, right now, the most support you can do for me is just listen. Just come and listen to my shows. And that means that a message will be sent across, and it will be great to have people listen to these stories and then tell others about it. And Simon, I'm really appreciative of you bringing me onto the show to discuss this. And it has been quite an experience. These 30 minutes have been, wow, very, very interesting for me. And I appreciate that. To Delaney, I want to welcome you to my town, or anybody else who's here. And the Lees, you know what I'm talking about. You know, ours is very special. You're always welcome to Mombasa. It is, it's the best place to be in. Unfortunately, I'm in America, but I would have wished to be there.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I'm just so grateful, to see your face and to hear your voice and to spend this time with you is just priceless. I can't compare this with anything else. So I am super, super grateful. And I'm actually seeing the community that is being built by the Daily African Proverbs is growing. And one of the things that I have started planting in my dreams is to do a tour of the Daily African Proverbs, like a physical tour of the Daily African Proverbs in various cities within the US, then one day in various cities across the world, just to get this conversation to physical places when the time allows. Currently I can't even do that. But I want to dream. I want to dream, and I want to ask everybody in the room to also dream. Dream about the unrealistic things, the things that you think cannot happen, and that's when you bring them close so that they can happen. And as leaders, and also as this proverb says, a lot of the time when you're dreaming as a leader, when you're thinking about the impossible, you have no followers. But once people start seeing it becoming a reality, once people start seeing it manifesting, then you gain a following, because people observe you from the moment you share the words of what you're dreaming about. But then when you start acting, being consistent, asking for help, then people begin to trust your leadership. People begin to trust your brand, and people begin to support your cause. And so I'm grateful for everybody that joined us today. I am really, really grateful for your time. You could have been anywhere else, but you chose to be here with us for the Daily African Proverbs. Thank you. Today we had quite a few people joining us on YouTube. Thank you so much. If you're watching this later on, remember to subscribe to the African Father in America podcast across all podcasting platforms, and also subscribe here on YouTube. Leave us your comment and push the bell button and thumbs up for us to know that you watched and you listened to today's conversation. And Sambaza, I can't wait to have you here again. I am grateful. I'm so proud of you, and I'm sure we will do this again soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Africa, tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze.
You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon.